Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news. So Manchester United could sign Harry Kane. Harry Kane wants to leave Tottenham in the summer transfer window because he is unhappy. Now David Einstein has given his perception on it. And he is reliable. And he said he has spoke to a lot of people. And he said that Harry Kane wants to leave. He said he's committed to Tottenham, but he wants to go and win trophies. Now, we'll probably have to pay around £120 million to convince Tottenham to offload him. Kane is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He's a prolific goal scorer, his link-up play is very good and he's well proven in the Premier League. Harry Kane has been at Tottenham for 17 years. He's been in their senior squad since 2009. He's made 234 appearances in the Premier League and he's scored 160 goals. Harry Kane has won the Golden Boot a couple of times. He's under contract with Tottenham until 2024. He's on around £200,000 a week. Kane's had loan spells at Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester before. But we've been in for Harry Kane before quite a few times. Jose Mourinho is under serious pressure as Tottenham manager. Tottenham have just been knocked out of the Europa League. Tottenham need to sack Jose Mourinho. He has passed his sell-by date. Now, there's been narratives about a swap deal between Donny van de Beek and Halland. Mark Hughes has been talking about Donny van de Beek recently, and he says that Donny van de Beek is lost at Manchester United, and he says Man United are edging closer to selling him. Donny van de Beek said he feels loved at Manchester United despite his lack of game time. There was narratives coming out not so long ago saying that Donny van de Beek has threatened to quit the club after one season due to his lack of game time, and he said he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward regarding his future. Most of Donny van de Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Earlier on this season, Ollie made an admission regarding Van de Beek, saying that he is unhappy at the club due to his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Manchester United. ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Van de Beek because we was reluctant to let him go. He has just come back from injury. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons. And Van de Beek's under contract with the club until 2025. He is versatile because he can play in 3 different roles. But yeah, I'd certainly take Erling Halland as part of the deal. We've been linked to quite a few Borussia Dortmund players. Now, there's a good chance that Erling Halland will leave Borussia Dortmund in the summer transfer window, especially if Borussia Dortmund fail to qualify for the Champions League. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows Erling Halland well because Solskjaer was the one that gave him his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. And back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Halland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Now, earlier on this season, Solskjaer came out and said that he's following Erling Haaland's progress, and he said he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. Dortmund, I think, are demanding in the excess of £100 million. Haaland does have a release clause, but he doesn't become active until next year. Haaland has been at Dortmund now over a year. Since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him, and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. It recently said we suffered a blow in our pursuit of Halland because he said he favoured a move to Real Madrid. Halland recently scored twice in Dortmund's 2-2 draw with Cologne. Apparently he stormed off the pitch, but he is our centre-forward transfer priority. Mini Oriola, his agent, come out earlier on this season saying that there's around 6 clubs in England that can afford him. But there has been a lot of players on our agenda. We've identified 5 transfer targets for the summer transfer window. We're looking to get a striker in. We're looking to get a right winger in. We're looking to get a holding midfielder in. We're also looking at getting a centre-half in, and apparently we're interested in getting in a right-back to provide competition for Wan-Bissaka. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's already had the transfer summit with our new recruitment team. You know, he was discussing our transfer targets and discussing our transfer plans for the summer in general. If Solskjaer is still Man United manager in the summer transfer window, I'm expecting him to get the backing he deserves, because obviously we've got John Murtaugh as our director of football. He's our first ever director of football, and it was the right decision for Man United to get a director of football in, because I said that's one of the structural changes that we need at the club, and John Murtaugh knows the club inside out. He's been at Man United for like 8 years now. Obviously Darren Fletcher, he's our technical director, and he knows the club through thick and thin. He endured 2 decades as a player for Man United. And Woodward did a statement earlier on this season, and he says the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear. So in that aspect, the board are backing Ole. I don't think Solskjaer's been backed enough so far in the transfer windows he's endured. He's endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. But Woodward has come out several times to show his support for Ole. Even enjoying them bad periods, Woodward assured that Solskjaer's job is safe. Our board have a soft stance on Solskjaer, with him being a club legend. And the only reason Solskjaer is still Man United manager is because he is a club legend. Disregarding him being a club legend, I don't think he'd have been Man United manager now, because we have enjoyed very bad periods under Ole where you can turn around and say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. But the board has been one of the biggest issues at the club for a long time. Main explanations is reflecting how poor our recruitment policy's been. We've also overpaid for players. And the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. Our transfer budget has been revealed for the summer transfer window. Apparently it's £80 million. £80 million is nowhere near enough for us to get the players we want in. So Solskjaer said he's planning to sell at least 4 players to bolster our transfer budget, and he's hoping to raise as much as £60 million. So that would take our transfer budget to £140 million. We are going to sell quite a lot of players in the summer transfer window. There's a good chance Donny van der Beek's going to leave. A lot of United fans are saying that we need to sell Anthony Martial in the summer, because Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances, but he hasn't converted them. But earlier on this season, Solskjaer said he was backing Martial to rediscover his form. And he said he's been impressed with Martial's work rate. He's just come back from a hip injury. He had an injury just before that as well. You know, we sell Martial in the summer transfer window. I reckon we'll get £30 million for him. Martial was good though last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. We brought Martial in from Monaco. Martial has been at the club over 5 years. I think it was last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. Edison Cavani, now, do you think he's going to leave the club in the summer transfer window? Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is hopeful that Edison Cavani will stay at the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has revealed that we have been in contract discussions with Edison Cavani. We do have an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Football Insider said not so long ago that Cavani had reached a verbal agreement to join Boca Juniors at the end of the season. Edison Cavani's current contract expires in June, so if he leaves in the summer transfer window, we won't receive a transfer fee. But Solskjaer said earlier on this season Cavani was closer to Boca Juniors and staying at Man United, and obviously Cavani's father came out a few weeks ago and said that Cavani is unhappy at the club and he's not comfortable in England and he wants to leave. Cavani's just come back from injury, by the way, but to his credit he has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. Juan Mata, I think there's a good chance we'll sell him. Juan Mata's current contract expires in June, but there is an option to trigger his contract for a further year. We'll look to trigger that 1 year extension so we can cash in for him. We'll get around £15-20 million for Mata. I think he's had a good career at Manchester United. He's been at the club over 6 years. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Earlier on this season, he rejected an £18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Ole said earlier on this season he wasn't surprised that Mata was linked to a move away from the club. He's out with injury at the moment. He doesn't get in our 11 now anyway, does he? Fred, do you think we could possibly sell him in the summer transfer window? Fred endured an abysmal game against Leicester in the FA Cup quarter-final, was accountable for Leicester's first goal, and he gave the ball away countless times. It probably was his worst game in a Manchester United shirt, and I can assure Fred wasn't worth the £52 million that we got him for. Fred's been at the club a few years now. He's not at that level yet. I've got to say he was an exceptional player though during his time in Ukraine. Matic, I think there's a good chance we'll sell him in the summer transfer window because he isn't one of our first choice midfielders. Does get his chances though. Did the club make a mistake by giving him that new 3-year deal before the start of this season? I've always had my strong reservations about Matic because he's always been a slow player. And he's aging up. He's been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Eric Bailly, now, there's a good chance he's going to leave in the summer transfer window. Eric Bailly's come out and said we've only offered him a new contract to improve his asking price. And Eric Bailly is furious with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He feels disrespected and not wanted at the club. Bay's got like 15 months left on his current contract. I hope Bay stays potentially past the summer because he's a very good centre-half, but my element of concern about him is injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. Just having my drink now. Paul Pogba, he could still leave Man United in the summer transfer window. Now, like I updated you recently, Paul Pogba's agent held talks with Juventus in Milan last week, and I said, there's a good chance that Paul Pogba will go back to Juventus because he enjoyed 4 very good years with them before he rejoined Manchester United. There's also been narratives of him possibly going to Real Madrid, and PSG have also been interested in him. Yeah. PlayStation, you mean? Like I say, Solskjaer is hopeful that Paul Pogba will sign a new contract. We have been in contract negotiations with Pogba, but we've not yet made a formal contract offer. Not so long ago, Paul Pogba came back from a thigh injury. Earlier on this season, he had an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he's sustained a few injuries now at Man United. But I'd love us to keep Paul Pogba potentially past the summer because he's an imperative player. He brings creativity to the team. Disregarding Paul Pogba, we lack that creativity and we are far too defensive. But if we do sell him in the summer transfer window, I reckon we'd get from between 60 to 70 million pounds. Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid 89 million pounds for him, and this is his 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. Mini Oriola is obviously desperate to get his client out of the club. He said earlier on this season he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season. But he said he was working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid any offence because Mini Oriola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United and he has been criticised a lot. Back in December of last year, he made an announcement regarding Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement. Pogba's under contract with the club until June 2022 because earlier on this season we triggered that 1-year extension on his contract. Matthias Pogba, Paul Pogba's brother, he gave us an update on Pogba's future earlier on this season, and he actually advised us to sell Paul Pogba because he said he could leave for nothing next year, and he said he's got no intentions of signing a new contract. We need to keep Paul Pogba on that left wing, in more of an advanced role because that's where he's more effective. Phil Jones, I also want him to leave this year. Jones doesn't get in our 11. Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at Man United and he's always been inconsistent. He's been out of injury for over a year. David De Gea, a good chance we'll sell him in the summer transfer window. It'll be the right decision if we sell him in the summer transfer window because I reckon now that De Gea's had his years at Manchester United and in the vast majority of the years he's been with us, he's been very, very consistent. De Gea's won everything domestically at the football club. A few years ago, he was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world, but in the last couple of years, he's been too much of a liability because he's made too many calamitous mistakes. This is his 10th season at Man United. De Gea's got 2 years left on his contract and he's on £375,000 a week. I've already said, we should put Dean Henderson as our number one. Dean Henderson has started 6 games in a row for Man United. And I think we'll be looking to get rid of Lingard permanently. We'll be also looking to get rid of Delors permanently. So we sell them players in the summer transfer window. We'll generate a substantial amount, and that'll help us with our rebuilding process. But these good players at Manchester United, and I've got to say, there's players that have improved. I've been very, very impressed with Dean Henderson in the games he's played in this season. His distribution's been good. He's made some good aerial claims. He's made some very, very good saves. He's kept a lot of clean sheets. So this is why I want him as number one. He's got that experience now behind him. De Gea's done well in some games this season. Luke Shaw, he's been superb this season. He's been our player of the season by far. Luke Shaw's got forward well. He's got into good positions. His crossing's been superb, and defensively he's been good. Luke Shaw still remains our first choice left back, despite the arrival of Alex Telles. Everyone thought when we got Telles, he'd have been first choice left back. Luke Shaw's had a good career at Man United apart from his injuries. He's been at the club over 6 years. Man United are set to offer Luke Shaw a new contract, and we're preparing to enter contract talks. Luke Shaw's just got 2 years left on his current contract. He does deserve a new contract, definitely. Harry Maguire, he's done well in some games this season where he showed the ability to play out from the back, and he's been effective in the air. He's been good from set pieces. But he's also enjoyed poor games. But either way, he wasn't worth the £80 million we got him for. He's a liability in some aspects, is Maguire, because he does make mistakes a lot, doesn't he? Eric Bailly, I've been impressed with him in the games he's played in this season. And Wan-Bissaka, I've been impressed with him in some games this season where he's actually showed some very good attacking intent. He's got into good positions and he's put good crosses and that into the box. And defensively he's been good. But in the games he's been poor in, he's been caught out far too many times. He's lacked that attacking intent. And Wan-Bissaka, this is his second full season at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. Fred, I've been impressed with him in some games this season. McTominay, I think he's a decent player, but he's nowhere near on that level as I want him to be as yet. Does McTominay have a long-term future at Man United? He's still young, he's got a lot of development in him. Just after the first lockdown, we give McTominay a new 5-year contract at the club. Bruno Fernandes, he's been one of our best players by far this season with Luke Shaw. So Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes have been the 2 best players. Obviously, the duo didn't start against Leicester, and a lot of Man United fans were unhappy regarding that. But he obviously can't start them every game. And Bruno Fernandes has had quite a few games where he has looked off the pace, but that's us overplaying him. That's why, and I said at some point he needed a rest. But in most of Bruno Fernandes' games at Man United, he has been very, very consistent. There was narratives coming out a few weeks ago saying that Bruno Fernandes was refusing to sign a new contract until he has assurances over the club's transfer plans. Fernandes has been with us over a year, and don't forget he said on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Manchester United. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. But best player and best signing we've made since Ferguson retired. Mason Greenwood, I've been very, very impressed with him since he broke into our first team squad. Scored a good goal against Leicester. Mason Greenwood has been a United player since the age of 7. He's been in our senior squad since 2019. And I think he's made 80-odd first-team appearances now. Earlier on this season, we give Mason Greenwood a new 4-year contract at the club. Sometimes we play him centrally, sometimes we play him on the right-hand side. I think he's got a long-term future at Man United. Marcus Rashford, he's a very good player, but obviously out with injury at the moment. Sustained quite a few injuries now. You know, sometimes we play Rashford on the left. Before we've played him on the right, and sometimes we play him centrally. I just think we need to keep him out on that left-hand side because that's where he's more effective. And Cavani's made an impact since he's come in, so these good players here. Now, like I've said, in regards to Solskjaer, he's not the long-term manager for Manchester United. Like I updated you yesterday, Ollie out trends again on social media. So there's a hell of a lot of Man United fans that are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out of the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has one more chance. The Europa League is the only chance of Man United winning any silverware this season. And if we fail to win the Europa League, I think there's a good chance that Solskjaer will be sacked at the end of the season. This is what Danny Murphy believes. Danny Murphy believes that, you know, a top 4 finish isn't good enough without a trophy. But we win the Europa League, then obviously Solskjaer will be given another season. Solskjaer did say not so long ago that winning trophies is an ego thing. He says clubs like Man United, trophies no longer prove success. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. Solskjaer has actually agreed to sign a new contract at Man United worth £9 million a year. So he's been given a pay rise, and sources at Old Trafford said the other week that talks are set to begin any day on the new deal, because I think he's only now into the final year of his 3-year contract. Doesn't mean he'll see the contract out anyway. But if we do eventually sack Solskjaer, who's going to come in to replace him? As far as I'm aware, at the moment, no one is available. But when we have been inconsistent, not all of the blame has stemmed from Solskjaer. It's never all the manager's fault. And in a way, I do feel sorry for Ollie because I think he's in a position that he shouldn't be really in. And I think the club is too big for him, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. I just think we've got to get someone in with a big club arrogance, someone with a proven pedigree. And Solskjaer obviously doesn't have that big club arrogance as a manager, and he doesn't have a proven pedigree as a manager. Before he was with us, Solskjaer was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and his record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. But Solskjaer's gained some managerial experience, reflecting now on he's been with us. He's been Man United manager over 2 years. If we finish second this season and win the Europa League, I'll turn around and say, yeah, that represents a good season for Man United, and that gives us something to build on going on into next season. I can assure we'll finish in the top 4 this season, so we will be in the Champions League next season. I think we made a mistake giving him the job permanently. You know, maybe we should have waited until the end of that particular season to decide or not whether he's good enough to be Man United manager on a permanent basis. But we give him the job permanently because he did very, very well, didn't he, when he first came in? He won 14 games out of 19 as the interim manager, so the club decided to give him the job permanently back in March 2019, which was 2 years ago. I think Solskjaer is the best manager since Ferguson, I've got to be honest with you. He's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson, and we have enjoyed very good periods under him where we have seen consistency and where he has got the best out of the team in some of them good periods. And we've got to credit him in quite a few aspects. You know, we are second in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the league for over a year. You know, he got us to the FA Cup quarter-final, got us to the Europa League quarter-final. He got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. You know, he got us to 3 semi-finals last season, got us a 3rd place finish and got us qualification for the Champions League. He's made good signings since he's come in. He's spent almost £300 million. He's got rid of a lot of players since he's come in. So we've got to credit him for that. But you know, I've got concerns about Ole. But nothing's changed in the last 8 years with Man United. You know, it's just been an ongoing cycle of inconsistency. You know, obviously we've had different managers with different philosophies. You know, we spent over £1 billion on players. Must have brought a good 37 players in since Ferguson retired. And we've only won, 4 trophies as well since Ferguson retired. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. So we haven't won that now for like 8 years. So anyway, guys, what do you reckon to this news on Harry Kane and the Van der Beek and Halland possible swap deal? Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.